Hello, and thank you for coming to visit the Church of St. Paul and St. Andrew. St. Paul and St. Andrew has been an anchor of the Upper West Side here on West End Avenue and 86th Street since its completion in 1897. But it got here in a roundabout way and follows the growth of a lot of New York City, starting on the Lower East Side, moving uptown to the East 20s, and eventually settling up here on this corner where land was less expensive and more plentiful. The congregation commissioned the architect Robert Henderson Robertson in 1895 to build this building, and it was completed in 1897. The land and the building together cost approximately $350,000 in 1890 dollars. The most interesting architectural features of this building are probably evident to you, the viewer. They are the mismatched towers on the facade. Neither one of them ever contained bells, if our records are correct, so we just understand them to be what could be considered architectural follies. The other thing about this building, which was unique for its time, is that it was neither built of granite nor brownstone or any darker stone, but a light yellow Roman stone with terracotta details and a large terracotta arched roof that you can see today. The terracotta details on the facade are long gone, but the yellow brick shade still remains, and we like to think of it as a glowing presence on the Upper West Side. The congregation changed over the years, and much like the city again, in the late 70s, a lot of the congregation had diminished. The neighborhood had diminished, and they were working on social services programs and helping neighbors. We have a community West Side Campaign Against Hunger that was established at that time, and other community services that still exist today. But because of the diminishment of the congregation and the changes in the neighborhood, the congregation at the time was deciding how to best use this building, whether to spend their money on social services or maintaining it. They were so small that they no longer worshiped in the sanctuary, but in the social hall. And this led to debates about what to do with the building. The congregation finally decided in 1979 to vote to demolish the building. They were stymied at the time by the Landmarks Preservation Committee, and the building was landmarked in 1981. At the time, the commission said this was one of the best examples of Robert Henderson Robertson's architecture of the period. So we have this beautiful building today. It houses many of the same programs that have grown and developed over the years, and we are still working to maintain it and be the neighbor that it wants to be in this area.
About 15 years ago, the church undertook a major renovation of the social hall. The social hall in the cellar of the building is the heart and the soul of the congregation. It's where all of the social justice work that we try to take on together takes place, whether it be the West Side Campaign Against Hunger, the massive food pantry emergency food program that's only gotten more massive in the meanwhile, or tutoring for neighborhood children, or a shelter for women who find themselves without a safe place to stay. The renovation cost about $4 million and was quite extensive. As you can see, the architect, Skip Liam Bowling, was able to turn a dank, nasty church basement, probably the nastiest church basement in all of Christendom, into a space of light and air and beauty. His idea was that it would resemble an Italian piazza, and you can kind of see that as you look around the space like this. That renovation involved creating a space for our social service counselors to be able to do extensive work with all of the customers who come here to the food pantry, providing them with needed referrals or help right here on the spot with whatever their problems and challenges might be. One of the interesting but challenging features of this church building is an enormous sanctuary. It was built to accommodate 1,000 to 1,200 people. From time to time, we need that space for different events and services. But right now, during COVID-19, During the pandemic, we're unable to gather as we once did. But we have found other ways to use this huge, enormous space. And so right now we are making the most of it by using it as a space to sort and store and package up food to be taken to the different places around the city where people are hungry and in need of some emergency food. I think it's a holy use, a sacred use, a good use for a beautiful and otherwise unused at the moment space. As you can see, there's some damage that has occurred during the course of the last couple of decades. We are in the process of raising some funds to repair the roof and the interior space of the sanctuary so that it could continue this important, vital work and also allow for future gatherings, for worship, for concerts, for plays, for other community activities. We have never considered this building to be ours alone. We think of it as God's building, and it's here for God's people. And who are God's people? God's people are everybody, everyone on the planet. And so we are currently sharing the building with a total of 5 different congregations, including our long-term partner, Congregation B'nai Jeshurun, a nearby synagogue. B'nai Jeshurun first moved in here about 25 years ago when the ceiling of their beautiful sanctuary 2 blocks away caved in late one night. Suddenly left homeless, they didn't know what to do. We called them up and offered to help, and to make a long story short, they moved in and in some fashion have been here with us ever since, and we're very glad. After the B'nai Jeshurun moved in, we created a banner together that would reflect what we were trying to do and be together as an interfaith space, a safe space for many people to gather. And so we built together the banner behind you, which reads in the words of Psalm 133, how good it is when siblings dwell together in harmony. Or in Hebrew, Hinei ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. May it always be so.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Richards and I work at Westside Campaign Against Hunger. At Westside Campaign Against Hunger, our mission is that all New Yorkers deserve access with dignity to a choice of healthy foods and supportive services. So as you can see behind me, this is the sanctuary of the Church of St. Paul and St. Andrew, and due to the increased need to get food to people during COVID-19, the Pastor Kay here has been really generous to give us the space here to pack our shelf-stable grains and proteins and get everything staged for all of our distribution. And thank you, SPSA.
On the first floor of the church, there are these beautiful rooms with high ceilings that we use for many different things: children's classes, 12-step gatherings, church meetings, and educational opportunities and events. So this is the parlor of the church. Until recently, both of these rooms were being used by the Westside Campaign Against Hunger. We are now readying them, slowly but surely, to once again return to their original use. This is the chapel of the church, very simple but elegant room that is again used for many, many different purposes.
Hi, I'm Director of Operations Brent Ness, and currently I'm in the West End Theater, which is located in the middle of the church. The West End Theater is a very, very small black box theater that seats about 73. We have productions here year-round. Most groups are small companies looking to use a space for anywhere from a week to 3 weeks. So if you're looking for a place to put on a show, musical, dance performance, the West End Theater is something you should check out.
Here we are up on top of the roof. You can see the Spanish tile that Nancy was talking about a moment ago that makes up this beautiful, striking roof. But after about 120 years, there are some places in the roof that have needed repair. We recently raised and spent quite a lot of money to repair this section that was leaking into our beautiful sanctuary below. We continue to raise money to keep up the building, so if you're able to help, we would deeply appreciate it. When this building was built 125 years ago, I don't think the congregation could have imagined what the Upper West Side would be like in these days. And I don't think they imagined what use the building would need to be put to in changing times. We have a cavernous, huge space within, and as you saw, now we are making the best use of it we can through feeding thousands and thousands of hungry New Yorkers every week. We're grateful to be able to do this work. And we're grateful for this quirky, interesting old building. It takes a lot to keep it up, and if you are able to help us in any way, we would very deeply appreciate it. Here are a couple ways you can help us as we renovate, repair, and try to restore this building for the coming centuries. Thank you for tuning in and being with us and taking an interest in our beautiful old building.